not be relying on numbers everywhere they go.
That's also fair, but let's jump into this drafting phase and see which side they opted to go on. It looks like the Mongols have decided to stay on that blue side and to kick things off straight back to the Eve band.
Okay. I like that Eve is just getting respected now. The RWM is just too much of a problem to deal with, especially for a team like the Mongols that wants to play together. If you all get caught in the box of death, the game is just over. It is definitely a hero that they're not well matched against.
Yep, and it looks like the picks and bans are looking exactly the same as game number 1. Hilda, after the as a follow-up to the Fanny ban. Now RRQ Akira must decide. They end up banning out the chip as second. Okay, I mean a slightly different order, but looks like to be the exact same thing.
I wonder if it's worth to respect the Lo Yi. The way that she opens up the map is really difficult to deal with, especially if you don't have the experience of managing it. And every player has their own kind of style of playing Lo Yi as well. So even if you practice against one particular Lo Yi player, you may not be prepared for another.
Yeah, I think a lot of it just comes to the decision making of like how you want to kind of spread out your damage. At the same time, it is that diversion that gives it such a high skill expression in a macro sense to the game. Now Gatot, the follow-up ban coming in from the Mongols, final ban in this first phase for RRQ.
I think the Suyo isn't really worth banning nowadays.
No.
It is definitely manageable.
Oh wait, yeah, where's the Zhushin? Where's the Zhushin ban?
Yeah, I was trying to remember. Well, there's a hero I can't remember.
Yeah, it's always because we always assume that it always should be banned out no matter what, right? And if it's missing, it's like, huh, that's kind of funny. High loss as the opener once again for the side of the Mongols. Let's see how RRQ is going to handle this. Are they, you know, I think it would be really funny expecting to see the Mongols play double tanks. They just go straight for the carry.
Carry could be possible. Has a bit more difficulty nowadays, but Malefic Gun can definitely benefit her as well because she's one of those marksmen that actually does have a pretty short range.
The shortest.
Actually the shortest?
Yeah, the shortest.
Okay.
Tell me a marksman who has a shorter base range than Carry. She's really short.
You have a fair point.
Yeah, but funny enough, Popol and Kopal also longer than Carries. Oh, hey, fun fact, Luis has played 19 unique heroes throughout the M Series campaigns. He ranked 3rd among all players in M Series history. No, wait, are you sure about this, Prod?
Really?
Really? I'm here. I would like a list of them, just to know, just
19 is 3rd? I would have thought that people would have played more heroes than that in general.
Especially in M Series of all things.
Interesting. Well, RQ have gone for a completely different direction. They started game 1 with the high-lowest pick with Suyo and Khalid. This time they're going for Cho and Aurora.
Cho and Aurora, huh? Does that mean that the Mongols are going to get to pick up Suyo for themselves? But I mean, they should expect the Alpha to come immediately after that. So, I mean, it's kind of give and take here.
Could be an option to just go for the Alpha themselves, but I'm not really sure if that's something you want to reveal so early on. They can also go for Assassins, but since Khalid is still in the pool, it's kind of risky to show it at this point. Yeah, they'll go for Fulvius Vexana, keep things open for the jungle.
Okay. Keeping things open for the jungle, I like the lock-in of that Fulvius. Doesn't really matter what else RRQ throws out at them. He has a pretty decent matchup unless it's the glue specifically. Other than that, I'm expecting that the Mongols are probably going to double down on their bans based on what we've seen so far. And I don't know, maybe we'll see a different second phase coming in from RRQ Akira.
I think at this point, RRQ can probably go for their jungler unless they want to prioritize a particular marksman, because after that, they can start banning out junglers from the Mongols instead.
Or they just lock and glue, right? They lock and glue and then just be like mirror each other.
No, but there's a Vexana.
Oh, you're right. There's already
That's
a Vexana.
why they pick Fulvius and Vexana together.
That's fair. That's a good point. Good catch there. Lock it in Alpha straight away. All right. So at least they have true damage to deal with some of the thicker boys from the side of the Mongols. Let's see how they're going to adapt in the second phase. Slight changes here and there.
I think they'll probably ban the Suyo themselves in the second phase, but going for the goal lane instead, making sure that Renix K doesn't have a hero that can escape from this show.
I mean, that just means that they need a marksman who can utilize the Purify. The Bruno is okay, I guess, in these types of scenarios, but let's see what the Mongols need to focus on in terms of the bans. They can also just double down on gold lane bans as well, but keep in mind that RRQ Akira will have first pick in the second phase because they are on red side.
I think they can probably look to ban the Khalid, right? Especially if they want to go an assassin at this point. Getting rid of things that can bully them in the early game would help quite a lot. The Lo Yi as well is still open, though the Aurora is already there, so it's unlikely it'll make an appearance.
I think even... Oh. Huh? Okay, getting rid of the CC here, I think that's okay, I guess. I suppose that the Phoveus probably doesn't want to deal with it anyway, so just to ensure that there's a guaranteed matchup for the Phoveus is totally fine here. But RRQ Akira, if they're getting rid of the Wanwan and they're nervous about the gold laners getting away, should they be getting rid of counter engagers?
Because there's already a good amount of counter engage on the Mongol side. I feel like that can of worms is already open. I don't feel like they'll need to continue banning high mobility marksmen. I feel like they can probably pick up Claude on their own.
Time to drop the beat of the flesh.
Oh, okay.
Joy, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
that's
yes,
true.
yes. Right.
I'm actually kind of surprised we haven't seen that much Joy yet today.
Well, I feel like Joy is in a pretty interesting spot, right? Really, I don't want to say that it quote-unquote struggles in the early game because that's just, it really depends on how much of a snowball you give your opponent, so it's tough to judge sometimes. But let's look at the Mongols, right? Now that they don't have the access to Joy, I guess they want Mongols to actually play a traditional style of assassins, whether it be the Ling, whether it be the Hayabusa, kind of doesn't really matter here. They've got Cho on their side. Whoever gets kicked needs to die.
Yeah, they didn't actually end up banning Suyo either, so I guess they're comfortable with that. They'll probably go for at least one more form of crowd control after this, just to confirm that they can catch him if the Mongols do end up going for Suyo anyway.
Let's see whether or not they're going to double down on it, though. I mean, it's not like it's a terrible matchup. I do think that Cho as a roamer is going to be completely fine here, unless they want to go for something like X-Borg to deal with like the tanks in the EXP.
Going for X-Borg is possible, but nowadays much preferred in the jungle position, so unless RRQ Akira is planning to flex Alpha into the EXP lane, which actually is surprisingly also possible, I don't think that's going to be the case here. They go for the Bruno, steal it away, make sure that the Mongols don't have a winning gold lane matchup here. So far, the RRQ Akira lineup does look pretty solid. I think their scaling is good. Their team fighting, especially around the early to mid game, gonna be hard to deal with unless Mongols can pick up a little bit more damage.
Do they want to go for something a little wild, a little wacky? They could go for the claw for themselves once again. I think if they're thinking about scaling, do they have enough damage? They've already got a decent spread. Oh, interesting. They're going to go Melissa instead, huh? What do you think about this, Sanafa? Because personally for me, as much as I like Melissa as a character, the go away for me has very few use cases. There's a lot of ways to go around it. Like, for an example, just the Shunfo alone gets right through it to get you a kick angle.
Yeah, it's good at kind of messing with Cho and Alpha a little bit, but a good, especially an experienced player, will be able to play around that Melissa ult anyway, and she's just gonna be pelted from afar by the Bruno too. So I'm personally not the biggest fan of it here, but at least it gives Renix K an additional way of maybe protecting himself at the right timing.
Always on the way.
I guess so. I don't know. I'm not fully committed on this, but it looks like they've kind of diverted their plans. Instead of Cho going into the support as a roamer, it's going to be Matilda, and Cho is going to get thrown into the EXP. At the very least, we can expect that Takashi is going to be able to get first moves over. Ah, yes, finally, the swap on over. Now, Phoveus has a decent matchup into this Cho. Yes, Cho will clear just slightly faster, but not without a cost.
Yeah, that EXP lane is going to be important because the Phoveus needs to keep Cho in lane. If you unlock Cho from lane, when you also have an Alpha Matilda combo to deal with, your early game is going to be rough.
I think it's really going to boil down to the mid laners. It's going to be Makey and Sagan that you need to keep your eyes for, because these guys are going to have to push the momentum, if not stop their opponents from overwhelming them.
Well, so far the veterans of the wildcards today have been taking victories, and RRQ are on track to replicate that trend, but the Mongols are gonna make sure that it does not come easily. And in game number 2, we return to the Land of Dawn to bear witness to the conflict between two teams as they vie for victory at the wildcards day 1.
All right, let's jump right into this. Jungler is going to be starting on the same side of the map. I can only assume that they're heading towards gold, and yes, they are. As they path downwards, we look at the top side, and immediately we're just... wait, hold on. Wait, the support, Matilda, not helping out the mid lane, push it out early on just to get position for Little Wanderer.
Slight variation in the rotation here, but does still work out because he's able to pull King in. They take a good amount of damage from Mikey. Zetsu holding on to the snipe, but RRQ Akira also expecting it will be able to take that Litho away.
All right, and now they're going to head straight down to the bottom side of the map. As expected, no invades going to be happening this early on, and they can, just take their time. Everybody else seems to be going. Bankai actually going for the tough boots pretty early on rather than just straight away rushing towards the Thunderbelt.
Bankai already the first one to unlock himself from the lane there. Good wave management to make sure that he's able to go into the river before Tekashi. But Tekashi now looking for the knockup. Finds it on Zetsu. Bankai gonna be left out in the lurch. Uses Purify in advance to get away. Zetsu jumps back in, gets frozen, has to escape himself. Shenlin and Mikey a little bit late to the party. Able to do some good poke, but no casualties so far.
Yeah, good spacing from both of these teams, making sure that they don't fall and give that first blood away this early on. They gotta keep up with this dance. I think that RRQ Akira, as soon as they hit level 4, need to make momentum start to generate. Like Tekashi, once we see level 4, we're expecting a guaranteed king.
Absolutely. And because of that, it's going to be, again, important for Bankai to make sure that he doesn't get that too easily, though it does look like the Cho is outmaneuvering him in lane right now. So the timing for RRQ Akira should be pretty good.
I don't know. I think they missed their timing because King didn't go straight to his orange buff. But let's look down bot side because, again, it's going well for Gusta Lagusta.
I mean, it's very expected, right? It's a Bruno versus Melissa. He is absolutely going to bully her in lane. RRQ Akira gonna give up a little bit on their positioning in the turtle, but they are once again playing a slightly more formless draft anyway, so the Mongols having control is expected. A flicker kick onto the Aurora, right into Glorious pathway, and Sagan gets the first blood, but Zetsu steals the turtle away, and now RRQ Akira will just have to back off without their objective.
Man, that's a little sad for King here. Zetsu was able to close the distance pretty fast and get a Soul 7 for the extra bit of damage. Yes, it's been capped from 1,000 down to 500, but it doesn't mean that isn't a lot of extra bonus damage. Now, I do expect RRQ Akira to keep up this momentum. I like the fact that they were looking specifically for Mikey here, but they can do even more.
Yeah, they can continue these fights. Once we're able to get a bit more damage in, and if Gusta is able to get comfortable enough in his gold lane to actually join fights himself, RRQ Akira has a lot of burst damage to work with. As long as they keep track of where Zetsu is in the fight, they will usually hold the advantage.
Well, for now, 70 seconds until the next turtle actually pops up here. Very, very passive from both the laners. We are seeing early rotations coming from Tekashi, which is rather interesting. I would have expected him to, kind of clear up the next wave, maybe even proxy the following wave. But it looks like they've got a good timing in terms of where the rotational path looks like. I'm not sure where they found the information from, but at the very least, they know that Suyo is hovering around here.
It's surprising that he wouldn't go for that invade, though it may have actually been the bad idea if he did go for it, because a lot of the Mongols were gathered around that point. I think RRQ Akira at this point do recognize that their opponents will have a tendency to rotate very closely together. So if you see one player, you will likely know that there's 2 or 3 of them around, and that is good information to work with.
This is where it's going to get a little tough for Tekashi, right? Every single one of these trades, he doesn't want to have to commit the Way of the Dragon onto Bankai, but as long as Bankai is just marking him, he's going to get free damage in. 12 seconds until the next turtle actually spawns. At the very least, I would have imagined that, focus down on that mid lane, get everybody rotating, and this might just be a gank on that bottom side.
Yeah, the Mongols gonna engage onto Tekashi here, instantly dropping him to 30%. He's not going to be able to very safely engage, but will stick around. King gets stunned, gets knocked up. The kick going to miss, actually. Glorious Pathway going to be slowing down RRQ Akira, and Bankai continuing to zone them out. Turtle, unfortunately, has been reset, but it doesn't look like RRQ Akira is interested in contesting it anymore.
Yeah, Takashi is missing away to the Dragon. They are also missing Sagan's ult as well. No flicker coming in from Takashi, so he can't really set up this play for the rest of the team. And I don't think they expect Luis to give up his life just for a turtle. So they're going to back up here. They're going to have a lot of pressure, actually, on that top side to get some free resets and then set it back to even tempo.
RRQ Akira are quite okay with this. I think their scaling is pretty good just purely from having this Bruno around, while the Mongols are going to slowly fall off once you get later in. Way of the Dragon, though, going to find Zetsu right into the Alpha Charge, and that is going to be a free kill for King.
Nicely done to find this initial catch. And now that they have this 2-2 going on with the mid lane, honestly, they've kind of given up on fighting for this pressure, especially up against the high loss, right? Any damage that they commit onto it from Matilda is basically wasted, right? That's why they're calling Takashi in time and time again to actually force control on this side of the map.
Yeah, ideally they're able to mess with the positioning of their opponents a little bit more here. They will scout out Shenlin, pass that information over to Gusta. There's not going to be an attempt so far, as right now RRQ Akira is just going to be aiming to gain a little bit more map control. And if they can, unlock Gusta from the lane so that he's available to maybe start pushing structures elsewhere.
Or now, they want to keep on getting this poke damage in, but the motions don't seem right yet. I don't think the Mongols have hit a comfortable portion of the game just yet. Like, as much as I want Zetsu to jump into the middle of these fights, both Bankai and as well as RNXK haven't got their completed items. I don't think there's enough stacks for Bankai to actually jump into these fights for free, and at the same time, the Trinity build is not done yet for RNXK.
It is worrying as well, because we can see RRQ Akira being the much more proactive team. They're not really oh, never mind, the Way of the Dragon. Beautiful flicker kick here, but the Glorious Pathway comes out once again from Shenlin to keep him safe. Zone out, nice Jikundo knockup, finishes off the Phobius, and now the rest of RRQ Akira are jumping in. Spear of Alpha unfortunately misses, and Gusta not able to get that last hit onto Shenlin. But with the turtle coming up, this is excellent timing for RRQ.
Man, that's so unlucky. The empowered auto didn't come through. He didn't get lucky on a crit either, so he just gets to walk away for free. But they do get the initial turtle, like you mentioned, and they've already broken top tier 1 because of all the pressure that they've applied. If they give a kill on over, oh, whoa!
Ooh. That was an attempt there, but Way of Dragon used. RNXK pops the Purify, has to get out of here. Glorious Pathway makes sure RRQ Akira cannot collapse on him. Shenlin, though, they're going to flicker forward, gets the freeze. The rest of Mongols come in. Gusta gets the final hit. Hylos is down. Phobius jumps in, wants to take out Sagan. He still has his passive, so he will be able to revive. And Bankai not able to continue as Takashi now jumps onto RNXK in the backline. Bankai going to be traded away. Takashi not letting him go, even finishes him off. And it's going to be a 3-for-0 trade in favor of RRQ Akira.
I don't know about that one. That was a very odd sequence of events. I mean, I think that RNXK ate how many third hits of Jikundos? Like 3 rotations of Jikundos all within the same minute?
And that's the problem with Melissa, right? Like, RNXK didn't have ultimate there, but even if he did, I feel like Takashi would have still been able to chase him down. It's a bit questionable whether this was the gold laner to go for.
More so, there was no way he was going to catch up anyway, so he should have just sat in his lane rather than leave the wave, barely get an assist, and then lose out his entire bot side at the same time. Oh,
Takashi, Way of the Dragon onto Hylos once again, right into the freeze, right into the Frigid Glacier. King going to miss his Spear of Alpha on Mikey, but the Circling Eagle comes in, 2-man knockup. Louis actually very deep in. He's going to get picked off here by Zetsu. Takashi cannot save him, so an overextension by Akira.
Yep, that's good punish coming in from the Mongols' side, but the onslaught is not over yet. As much as RNXK is able to somewhat join these fights, he really needs that farm, and Takashi is trying to put him in a box.
Yeah, I'm very worried for the Mongols because they clearly want to fight when they're all together, but consistently pulling your core away from his farm means that they're always going to be behind in gold. And slowly but surely, RRQ Akira has built up a 3K net worth lead.
With that lead, though, Mongols looking for a different angle. They're going to completely give up this first Lord of the game just to try and catch up in the economy.
I guess that's fine, right? At least Renix K gets a bit of space. He's able to push waves, get some farm, get a free tower up top. Only the first Lord of the game, so the Mongols should still be able to deal with it.
Yeah, it should be a pretty easy deal here. Can they get all the tier 2s? Can they even like break open mid-tier 1? I don't think so, especially with Renix K able to kind of open the map safely with the help of Muddles. Can RRQ force it? I'm looking at Takashi. He's got Flicker. I mean, he could be able to set things up.
Yeah, Luis trying to get the Circling Eagle angle, but Shenlin's just a little bit too far, but they're gonna be able to connect with the Lord down here. This tier 2 definitely goes down. Muddles used, not able to continue. RRQ, do they want to continue pushing this? No, they're gonna shift to the mid-tier 1.
Continued move, and they also have ways to actually... They've got Takashi in a position where he can look for a flank.
Circling Eagle comes out, not gonna commit here, not the right angle. Takashi as well, gonna be pulled out with the Guiding Winds. This Matilda enabling very aggressive play from RRQ because there's always going to be a get out of jail free card.
Unironically, I don't want to make it seem like it's a bad thing, but Mongols are really good at kiting backwards and disengaging from fights completely, right? Like they find the most optimal angle whereby even if you do commit, it's not going to be a favorable position for you.
Yeah, but this meta is not going to reward you too much for playing defensively for too long, right? We can see that slowly but surely the grip is closing on the Mongolian team right now. And RRQ Akira is going to continue piling on the pressure. Now they're looking for Zetsu. Does he get out in time? I think... Oh, no! Way of the Dragon fights him right at the end! And RRQ Akira is going to collapse on the Mongols jungler and get a free kill.
He's so mad. He's so mad. He's thinking like, oh man, if I just started channeling my recall just a little bit sooner, I would have been able to get out of that. Oh, there was so much time for him. But now we see that RRQ Akira, this is a very big advantage. A 4v5, they're looking for inhibs.
Fear of Alpha initiates on Shenlin, immediately pulled out with the Guiding Winds. RRQ Akira are scaring the Mongols off, doing poke damage and disengaging all in one fell swoop.
I mean, they got what they needed, right? The economical advantage. Now they have item power spikes to work with, a Winter Crown for King, and a lot of missing towers for the Mongols. All that's left right now is their inhibitor, and they just need a Lord to guarantee one of them.
Personally, the Mongols doesn't seem like a team that's very good at claiming map control when they don't have structures to work with. So although other teams would be able to like find an opening in a situation like this, I don't really see it happening unless they make a surprise happen.
Well, I personally think that the Mongols need to more proactively trade against their opponent, right? Because so far, they've just been, hey, one person goes down, we back away, we kind of give the objective up. And yes, as much as I'd like to believe that the Mongols have the capabilities to basically wipe RRQ Akira and turn that 6.2k lead back down into their side in one fight is possible, the odds are not looking good as RRQ Akira are approaching late game items. Their third, fourth, fifth items even, as we break into the 40k mark.
In game number 1, the Mongols do seem like the stronger team in terms of counter-engage, as well as just peeling and kiting in general. However, in this game, because there's a Matilda to deal with, they're not really able to punish over-aggressive extensions from RRQ either, right? They just instantly get pulled out to safety, and that is causing a problem because a lot of resources are being used by the Mongols very early on in fights that don't actually happen.
Now with the Lord... Oh, okay. Taking their time.
It's the 1v1 up top. Zetsu being chased down by King. Look at how much damage he's taken.
I mean,
he is more mobile, but that means it's a 4v4 defense in the mid lane. Lord crashes in, does a lot of damage. Mid tower should fall. Sagan wants to take bot as well, but Shenlin is able to walk out and stop them from doing so. They'll lose mid inhib. Wave the Dragon finds the horse. Revitalized used by Shenlin. Can he survive? No. Frigid Glacier gives the killing spree to Sagan, and RRQ Akira will take a mid inhib as well as one kill. Do they want to continue? Ooh. Their HP is very, very low. Guiding Winds pulls them outside of Muddles just in time to make sure they're not taken out. Another tower falls. RQ still staying within the base of the Mongols since they know there is no high-lows to worry about.
Yeah, but I mean, they have the advantage, but only for 12 more seconds, right? Louise is getting it. Will be able to kind of keep themselves top to... Oh my god!
I can't believe this. Oh, beautiful Spirit of Alpha on 2 members. Forces 2 flickers out. Winter Crown comes out. Bankai gonna be traded. A beautiful Way of the Dragon right right into the Frigid Glacier. Mikey gonna fall. Mega kill for Sagan, but he does get shut down by Zetsu. He's found his own double kill. He is 1v, never mind, triple kill for Gusta Lagusta. He's got too many items, and that means it is a clean sweep for RRQ Akira.
Oh my goodness, a clean sweep indeed, but this time around, it really seemed that the Mongols were not confident, and only until we see overextensions. This is what I was worried about. These small incremental leads being created by RRQ Akira is only going to stack up unless you are able to tell them, hey, you need to respect our space and you are not allowed to cross the picket fence.
It's clear that their victory in game number 1 gave RRQ Akira the confidence that they were looking for. That composure, that willingness to walk forward and make things happen. Because they realized that the Mongols do have a tendency to play too safe.
I agree, but I think the person who's the bravest, you gotta give it to Takashi, right? He is so brave to go into these really tight moments to make things happen. He's stirring that pot, and that's something that we didn't see from the Mongols.
I mean, Takashi is a classic EXP lane duelist. He wants to fight. Fighting is in his blood. So if he's given an opportunity to mess things up a little bit by jumping in, especially against a more passive team, you can bet he is going to do it.
Yeah, and we saw a good showing here today of it. Although I will say that I didn't get to see enough of the Mongols. If this is their overall playstyle, it is a little too slow for what the meta has to offer. And not only that, it doesn't seem that there's a lot of lane dominance anyways. They are just playing based off of the motions of their jungler more than anything else until RinXK is able to hit that critical mass.
Yeah, it does feel kind of worrying because based on what we've heard about the Mongols, we expected a lot more from them. Yes, clean, calculated gameplay, we saw that, but it felt a little bit too leaning into that side. You still got to be willing to take risks. You still got to be willing to go out of that zone a little bit to force your opponent backwards. And because they never really did that, RQ Akira, even though they did run into roadblocks sometime, were never made to feel unsafe in their side of the map.
Also true. I think that if the Mongols are going to be continuing with their current playstyle, taking it slow and really punishing their opponents, look for penultimate late games, Natan, Lunoxes, right? That's what I think that they should be leading more towards to, rather than thinking about the utility of the marksman in the team composition, which I think, yes, it does play a part, but at the same time, if your comp isn't going to stir the pot, you might as well just play for ultra late game.
If you only play one specific gameplay style as well, it doesn't matter how open you keep your draft. Opponents always know what they're going to be dealing with when they're playing against you, right? You are drafting your entire lineup around the concept of going for 5v5 team fights, and only when you choose to take them. Those conditions are way too limiting.
It's very limiting, in a matter of fact here. I mean, you can just see, as the game kind of progresses, this gold lead being accumulated by Gusta Lagusta is great. Yes, they've hit their first condition, no problem. Second condition, do we have Winter Crown coming in from King? Because this item gives him confidence to jump in and maybe have an opportunity to walk away from that fight. Hey, first Lightning Dungeon being built in this game by coming in from Sagan. That's an interesting option.
That is a very interesting option, actually, because I feel like Wishing Lantern would have actually been pretty good this game.
I mean, I feel like, actually, as a third item, I mean, there's a couple of things that is interesting about it. Number one, if you do decide to go for like a more bursty ideal of it, Lightning Target is great, but the extra movement speed helps you get away specifically from RinXK if he throws muddles into that backline, which I think there was a couple of times where he noticed like, hey, this is getting kind of annoying.
I guess that's true, but if you wanted a defensive item, you could have gone Blood Wings as well, right? So.
I mean, yeah, that's also fair, but I think this kind of fills that you know, that hybrid damage, because keep in mind that as long with the passive coming in from Aurora, every stat, I can't remember the ratio, every stat of magic damage increases the length, the CC duration of her abilities.
That is also true. So I guess since Sagan already knows, then Mongols will probably not threaten him very often. He may as well just go for a full aggro damage build, right?
Yeah, might as well, right? I can get behind that for sure. I think I prefer that just a little bit more. But even so, as we look at the post-game stats here, as expected, most amount of damage going over to Gusta Lagusta, no problems here. But man, Mikey really struggling to actually get the big wombo combos we were hoping to see. And I think a lot of it is just because Bankai, as much as he was able to kind of keep Takashi in his lane in the earlier stages, once we got into the mid and as well as lane, and as you mentioned before, they were pulling both Rin and as well as Bankai to stick together in their death wall, giving up a lot of pressure on those side lanes.
Yeah. Giving up pressure in the lanes, in the map, that is the biggest issue I feel with the Mongols right now. If you're too dependent on the 5v5s, that is not a healthy way to play. Because RRQ Akira is also a team that loves going for 5v5 team fights, but the way they do it is completely different, right? And they're enabled this game by the Matilda as well. So Meiki, even though he's on the Vexana, which should normally be able to catch people with Terrify, they just get pulled out every single time, and you can't terrify someone if they're circling around you like a vulture as well. It's just too difficult.
Even if you get the timing absolutely perfect, the projectile speed is just a little slow on that case. I don't know. I don't want to say that I'm disappointed because there's still much of the competition, and this is only day number 1 for both Mongols and as well as RRQ, but they've got stuff to work with. And at least with the taste, you know, the little tidbits that we've gotten so far, I think the Mongols have a lot more room for growth compared to RRQ Akira.
Yeah, I agree with you. RRQ Akira are still admittedly kind of shaky. They're not perfect, actually. I think a stronger team would have been able to close out this game a lot quicker, but you can see that they're regaining a bit of that composure. This is a team that has had a bit of difficulty adjusting to the current meta, and did unfortunately lose their title for the first time ever for dropping into wildcards. So it's going to take him a little moment, and a clean sweep here is going to help that a lot.
Maybe it's just day 1 jitters and very, very cold hands, but let me tell you, this person here, our MVP of the match, he did not have cold hands throughout the match. Gusta Lagusta coming in as our MVP.
Gusta Lagusta dropping like a fire quote at the start of the game, and then doing fire gameplay in both games actually. Game 1, his split pushing, his farming was what allowed them to keep themselves in a game where the Mongols had a clear lead towards the mid game, and then here, just outperforming the enemy gold laner the entire time in a matchup where he's already favored, so it's completely dominant. And while his KDA isn't the highest, it's already a pretty passive game anyway, so 404 is pretty good.
Yeah, 404 is pretty good, and the fact that he wanted to greed out with the Weapon Master, right? That's why he's looking for big damage items like GDS, for an example, rather than going for Wind Talker, like an Irithel build, for an example. But generally, the way that they played it, I feel like a lot of the instigation coming out from Takashi really kind of set the tone and pace for the game. Like the first initial couple of fights, it was all thanks to Takashi able to kind of generate the space and set up for the team, which allowed them to gain tempo in the first place. Oh, this is the 3 times that RNXK got hit by G Kudo.
Yep, just constant chasing, because Takashi by himself is more than enough, right? I don't want to be the sandbag, I want to run at them. If you're gonna play sandbags, I'm just gonna ignore your sandbags, because I don't like sandbags in the first place. You can really feel that energy in his gameplay, setting up for the rest of the team. I also think that the Mongols playstyle did not help here, because name one moment in both games where Gusta was threatened. Because there wasn't one.
When he used Winds of Nature that one time. I think that's the only way to put it. But with that being said, here are the current standings here at the Wild Cards. With that 2-0 victory, Group B is now in a very awkward position. With the next coming games for both Legion Esports and as well as the Mongols, they really need a win. Basically, if you take 2 losses, 2 BO3 losses, oh my goodness, your chances to make it to the next stage drop significantly.
Yeah, these are groups of 4 after all. You're only going to be playing 3 games. And that means that if you lose the majority of them, it's very unlikely that you're going to be going on to the next stage, let alone beating the winner of the other group to claim that one singular Swiss stage spot. Group A definitely seems to be a little bit more competitive though, so I'm very excited to see what kind of matchups we will see from them tomorrow.
I have to agree with you here. Group A seems to be a little bit more streamlined here compared to Group B. But speaking of what Group B could be, let's look at tomorrow's schedule to give you an idea, to get your lips tantalized. It's going to be Mongols up against Incilio, DFYG up against Geekay, ULF up against Nightmare, and RRQ Akira up against Legion Esports.
Just a note for you guys, if you look at the timing, you'll realize that it is roughly half an hour later than we started the day, and that is because we are giving some time for all of you to do your Friday prayers. So no worries, we got you guys covered there. But all of these are matches where the teams want to make things happen. Mongols especially opening day 2. If they lose to Incilio, who just got a clean sweep themselves today, we're probably not going to be seeing them moving on.
I think that game is going to be even longer. I feel like Incilio up against the Mongols is going to take their time. I think that DFYG up against Geeky, I think this is where Geeky can really try and show their stuff, because DFYG is willing to brawl, and Geeky, unfortunately, they got outclassed the last time, but they need to clap back now.
Yeah, the other teams that haven't been able to find the success they're looking for here really